I think Sony has been recently killing it with their headphones. Their 1000XM3s are currently the best ANC headphones on the market, and their Watcha 700N are a really good pair of budget-friendly headphones packed with a lot of features. But their speakers, on the other hand, could use some work. Namely, their audio clarity could be better, and their software and wireless party chain feature could be more stable. So, let's see what the new Sony XB501G is all about. The new Sony XB501G is a Google Assistant-enabled smart speaker that retails for $300, which is just $50 more than what the Sony XB41 retails for. But depending on your needs, one of these speakers is definitely going to be better suited for you. So if you want to pick either of these speakers up, I'll have links in the description below, and if you use links, it really helps out the channel. I highly suggest you check them out because Sony speakers routinely go on sale, so you might get lucky. The XB501G shares the same design and build quality of the larger Sony XB60. It has a built-in carrying handle, a light feature, a hard plastic body, and a metal frame on the front. And it's pretty durable because it's rocking an IP65 rating, which means a splash of water shouldn't be a problem, but you shouldn't submerge the speaker. But unlike the XB41's fabric body that can really take a beating, the XB501G's plastic body can get scratched pretty easily if you plan on traveling with it on a regular basis. Now, even though the XB501G is considerably larger than the XB41, due to its built-in carrying handle, rounded design, and since it only weighs 7 pounds, taking it on to go with you isn't that bad. Now, what makes the Sony XB501G very different from Sony's other extra bass speakers is its Google Assistant integration. You can use it to control your smart devices, play music, or just ask it questions. Hey Google, turn on the studio light, and what is the current price of Bitcoin?
1 BTC is approximately 6,344 United States dollars. You got it, turning the studio light on.
And the mics on the speaker have no problem hearing you when you say "Hey Google" all the way up to 80% volume. But keep in mind, in order for Google Assistant to work, the XB501G has to be connected to Wi-Fi. So that's why I'm very happy Sony made it very easy to manually toggle Bluetooth on or off on this speaker. And if you want to, you can strictly just use the smart speaker like a standard Bluetooth speaker. I'm also very happy Sony decided to include a full set of media control buttons up top so you can manually control your music playback, unlike other manufacturers that omit certain physical control buttons on their smart speakers, forcing you to use voice commands even when you don't want to, namely the Google Home Max and the UE Mega Blast. But something that I really don't like about this speaker is its port setup. The XB501G charges via a 12-volt DC in port, and you can also charge it using its USB-C port. And I think it's awesome Sony is finally embracing USB-C. But I think it's less awesome that the speaker doesn't have an audio jack and there's no USB-A out port to charge your own devices. Personally, I don't mind when smaller speakers don't have an audio jack, but I think larger speakers like these should still have it. Now, you can use the USB-C port to charge your own devices, but unfortunately this USB-C port doesn't support data transfer, so you can only play music off of this speaker using a wireless connection. And oddly enough, Sony's new speaker doesn't support LDAC or aptX audio codecs. Because for comparison, the XB41 does have LDAC support, it has an audio jack, a USB-A out port, and you can charge it using the micro USB port. Now, when it comes to battery life, I've seen better. Sony advertises a 16-hour battery life on the XB501G, but that's with the volume set at 50%, extra bass mode turned off, and with the light feature turned off. So technically they're not lying, but if you pick this speaker up, you're not going to want to use it like that. So in my testing with the volume set at 80%, extra bass mode turned on, and with the light feature turned on, the speaker only managed to average 6 hours of playback time. But given its speaker setup and the size of that subwoofer, it's understandable. The XB501G has a single 4.92-inch frontward firing subwoofer and dual 1 3/4-inch satellite speakers, whereas the smaller XB41 has dual 2.28-inch frontward firing transducers and dual passive radiators firing out the front and out the back of the speaker. Now, we're about to jump into a sound test. Both the Sony speakers are in extra bass mode, and to make things a little bit more interesting, I'm also going to be including the JBL boombox.
So I'm crazy. Oh my baby, got me staring at you. So I'm crazy. Won't you bend that back for me? We won't stop. Got your feet on fly. You get to fly with me. I can take you down for a ride.
Without a doubt, one of the best things the XB501G has going for it is its clarity. The new XB501G sounds much clearer with its extra bass mode turned on than all of Sony's other recently released speakers. Vocalists aren't as pushed back, and they don't sound as muffled. But thanks to that 5-inch subwoofer, this speaker still has an impressive amount of bass for its small size. The XB501G has as much bass as the JBL boombox, even though it's half its size. But due to its lack of tweeters, the mids and highs aren't as defined as the boombox, and its soundstage isn't as wide as the boombox. But if you're somebody who's just looking for bass but doesn't have the room or the budget for the boombox, then the XB501G is a good option to consider. And just like Sony's other speakers, the XB501G still connects to Sony's Music Center app. From here, you can select from a few pre-made EQ settings, or you can make your own. You can also go in and select from a few different lighting modes. There's rave, chill, strobe, and a rave mode without the strobe lights. But unfortunately, the XB501G doesn't connect to Sony's Fiestable app like the XB41, so you can't directly adjust the colors of the light feature. But another thing I like about this new speaker is that you can't pair it up to any of Sony's other extra bass speakers through wireless party chain. Like I've said in the past, Sony's pairing method for their speakers is very finicky, but I was under the impression that I would be able to pair the XB501G with other Sony speakers. But you can't. You can only pair this speaker up with other smart speakers using Chromecast, which I think is technically cheating, and it's not going to work if you don't have Wi-Fi. So overall, I feel the Sony XB501G is a bit of a mixed bag. It sounds much better than Sony's previous speakers and packs an impressive amount of bass in a very small package. But due to that subwoofer, its real-world battery life doesn't make it the best portable speaker to take with you on the go. But thanks to its Google Assistant integration, the XB501G is a pretty good at-home speaker that you can take with you outside to the backyard and entertain guests with. And if you're looking for a speaker to use mostly at home, then I think you're much better off going with the XB501G than the XB41. But if you're looking for a more rugged speaker that you can take with you to the basketball court or skate park, then you're still better off going with the XB41 because of its tougher body, smaller design, and longer lasting real-world battery life. If you made it this far, I guess you enjoyed the video, so hit that like button and get subscribed. It helps out more than you realize. Support the channel by clicking on the links down below, and I'll catch you next time.